Hello, welcome to a special edition of CropLife Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife and CropLife Iron magazines. I know my co-host last week made the comment that I had been a road warrior, and I know I have been talking about on videos my time spent at the Maggie show in August, and also the Mid-America CropLife Association meeting in early September. But since my recording last week, I actually have had another, believe it or not, 3 trips on my calendar. So I'm here to share without a co-host or a guest this week, my visits with folks, and I was very, very privileged to be able to take videos of people. So I will be sharing information and videos with the audience. So hold on for that. My first trip took place on the 15th of September. I actually was in Rockford, Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago, visiting with the folks from AMVAC. AMVAC usually has a little road show where they go around to various spots in the Midwest, sharing information on the company's plans and their SIMPAS system, of course. And one of the individuals I met there was a gentleman by the name of Joe Bruce. And Joe was kind enough to fill me in the next 2 video clips about AMVAC and how they've gotten involved in the biologicals marketplace. And he also talked about the product offerings they have in the marketplace. So enjoy these 2 clips.
AMVAC is involved with the biological side of products, mainly because it's an up-and-coming area of growth. There's a lot of opportunity, some unique creativity and product design is coming up in those areas to bring unique products that are fitting niches that are not being addressed by current commercial products on the market. As far as the products that we have, Invigorate, which is a consortium of microbes, multiple bugs in the jug, that are bringing nutrient availability when applied to the soil, make nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur available to the plants that otherwise would be locked up and unavailable to those plants for root uptake, allowing plants to grow and address stressful situations. Be Sure is another AMVAC product that is a biological fertilizer that contains nutrients as well as amino acids that are vital for plant growth. By supplying plants with these amino acids, they are alleviating any kind of stress that those plants are under. So those plants, if they were unable to make those amino acids that are essential for proteins and enzymes in the plant, then by providing these amino acids, it alleviates those bottlenecks, alleviating stress, allowing the plant to photosynthesize and produce more energy than they would without the additional amino acids. The third product that AMVAC has is called Uplift. And Uplift is chitin, and it's chitin, the exoskeleton from crustaceans, shrimp namely, that can be applied to the soil. And this, what chitin can do is it does have some nematicidal properties to help fend off nematodes in the soil, but more importantly, bacteria in the soil will degrade the chitin and make additional nutrients available for plant uptake. And through both of these means, it provides a benefit to many different crops. With Uplift is probably used more importantly in the specialty crop business, vegetables and that kind of higher dollar market, because those crops are more valuable and they have the pests are more closely aligned with those particular crops.
So that's what Joe Bruce had to say about the AMVAC biological products. If you're interested in those, I would advise checking out the company website to find out more information. The second trip I had took place on September 20th through the 22nd. Every year, just outside of Columbus, Ohio, just west of Columbus in a little town called London, Ohio, there is an event called the Farm Science Review. Now, this event has taken place now for 60 years. And I must say, it's always nice to attend an event that is older than myself, at least by a few years. And this one would qualify. Most, I am sad to say that I attend not. They are younger than I am. But at Farm Science Review, usually they draw a couple 100,000 people over the course of 3 days. An outdoor event has all type of farm equipment there. For ag retailers, of course, there's lots of self-propelled sprayers and spreaders and information on controllers and seed treaters. So you will find all those products in the fairgrounds, the Molly Curran Fairgrounds, like I say, in London, Ohio. One of the things that they also do there, since they are, of course, close to the Ohio State University, is they have speakers on hand that talk about various aspects of the agricultural marketplace. Now, one of the speakers this week, during that trip, was a gentleman by the name of Barry Ward. Now, Barry works in the agronomy department at OSU, and he was talking about farmer profitability and crop input and cash rent prices. So in this first video clip, he is giving the update to the audience regarding what type of increases inputs were presenting to growers here in 2022. So enjoy this clip.
Fertilizer costs, depending on the product that you give me. Nitrogen, we're plugging in slightly lower, P&K higher, so overall higher fertilizer costs compared to where we were last year. And then we get into stuff like seed and chemical. All right, so seed prices. I've talked to and gathered some information already as far as these early pricing opportunities. Some growers are going to see roughly 10% increase. Some are going to see about 0% increase, or a very flat total seed cost. It depends a little bit on their seed purchase choices, whether they're buying all the latest genetics or whether they're content with maybe that 1 to 2 year old genetics. It also depends on their leverage. Larger farmers are going to have a little bit easier time in keeping that seed price somewhat contained, while those that are kind of moderate to small size probably going to see a little bit of an uptick. We've got about 5% increase in seed costs. Chemical prices, overall, the basket of chemical prices right now, we're seeing that level. Now, okay, there's going to be some outcry out there because some of these products are going to take a step up, but some of the products that we had built in that were higher last year are going to moderate a little bit. Okay, one that we looked at pretty closely is glyphosate, likely going to be a little bit lower price point overall than what we saw last year, just simply because some of the supply chain issues have eased up. So right now we're plugging in the chemical price per acre about the same, and there's a number of others, but those are the big ones.
So as you might imagine, there were some audience members who were kind of wondering, okay, well, you know, this information you've shared with us, Mr. Ward, is a little depressing. Do you have some good news to share? I'm happy to report that he did. This next clip, he offered up some observations on why 2022 looks like it'll remain profitable for growers and why there's some optimism going into 2023.
It's not as good as last year as we look forward. You know, right now we've got for 23 fall delivery for corn about $6 a bushel, soybeans $13.50, and summer delivery wheat about $8.20. So plugging those numbers into our budgets, we still are showing some potential for profitability. We know that there's much higher cost structure for many of you out there, but the profit picture, although still reasonable to positive, it's not as strong as what we saw in 22, or what we think we're going to see in 22.
Or in 21.
Or in 21, yeah.
So that's what Barry Ward had to say, you know, looking forward a little bit through the rest of this year and on into next. Fingers crossed, things will continue to go well for commodity prices and yields, which, as he pointed out, will probably keep profitability for growers good, which usually translates to good profitability for ag retailers as well. Now, the third event I was attending over my travel word warrior adventures was to the Integrated Agribusiness Professionals annual meeting that took place in Louisville, Kentucky. The folks at IA were kind enough to invite me to speak, And I'll give you some a little hint of what I talked about in a few moments. But one of the speakers at the event was Steve Spangler, who is the fertilizer guy at IAP. And in this video clip, he was talking a little bit about what's been going on with the macronutrients. In particular, he was focusing on nitrogen. And I will apologize for the quality of this video. Steve was presenting in a hotel room, and he had a very bright light right over his shoulder. So unfortunately, the video is a little dark, but that doesn't negate the good information he was sharing regarding nitrogen fertilizer and its outlook.
Keep in mind, this is all about ammonia. Ammonia is the basic building block for all nitrogen fertilizers. If you can't make ammonia, you can't make UAN, you can't make AN. There's a lot of things you can't make. Europe's in this ditch, and the cost of ammonia drives the cost of all the other products. So with ammonia staying expensive, all these products are going to be expensive as well. Okay, if we look forward in the EU, we know from talking with Corey and Darren, the picture in the EU does not look good coming up into the winter. They're going to face even higher gas prices. That means they can't make ammonia, and they can't make their upgraded products like ammonium nitrates, which they primarily use. And so we think in Q4 here, at least at the World Conference, they were talking about where CF was, and I think they're right. EU's going to have to buy more urea than they have. We think that maybe by the time we reach October, the end of October, maybe their system's full of 32. They might not need a lot of imports of 32 after we get through October, but they're certainly going to need ammonia. And so all the US producers are producing ammonia heavy. That is their most profitable product today, and they're going to continue to make that. And what that means is potentially supply could be squeezed. Now that's something you hate to predict, because usually when you try to predict it, it never happens. But it's a really big deal, the dynamic that the fact that the EU can't produce, and the idea that all the US production has been running ammonia heavy means that there's a lot less UAN being produced here in the US than compared to last year.
So that's what Steve Spangler had to say about the nitrogen market. As he pointed out, you know, everybody should keep an eye on the European Union and what's going on with natural gas prices over there, because that will have a major impact on what goes on for the rest of the world going forward over the next year or so. You know, now that I've gone over all these video clips with you, it's time for fun with numbers. Now, I grant you, fun with numbers is going to be a little different this week. Like I say, I don't have a guest or a co-host to play the game. So basically, rather than playing our normal quiz, I just want to share with you a couple of the numbers that I have collected here during my trips. As I said, the folks at IAP asked me to speak before their membership, and what I shared with them was a preview of the 2022 CropLife 100. Now, these numbers are not final yet. I'm still collecting data from some folks. There's about a dozen companies that have not gotten their forms back in, but based on the information I have so far, it looks like 2022 will be a very, very good year for ag retailers in the CropLife 100. Looks like their revenues will be, here's your first number, about 40 billion, a little more than $40 billion, which will be up from about 35 billion in 2021. So good news there. It looks like the one category that's going to enjoy the most growth is fertilizer. It looks like it might be up around 25, 28% over 2021, topping about $22 billion. And, you know, if there's a little bit of a downer news-wise on the numbers, the seed category was at about $5 billion in 2021, and it looks like it'll stay flat, about $5 billion in 2022 for the CropLife 100 folks. So again, the final numbers will be in our December 2022 edition of CropLife magazine, so check that out. Also be online starting in the beginning of December as well. And if you are one of those folks who has not yet returned a form to me, please do so. I would be more than more than appreciative of you getting it back to me so that I can compile all 100 of the top 100 into our database and have some firm numbers to share with everybody going forward. So that's it from the road. Eric Sfiligoj here, talking in a hotel room in Louisville, Kentucky. And next week I should be back in studio or in my home office, and hopefully we'll have a guest with me or co-host. But until then, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.